All right, Chad, one more thing before I go. I don't know if y'all saw, but Nick Fuentes, noted groper, was on Piers Morgan the other day. They did like a 2 hour long pod, and I ain't watched that whole shit yet, and I probably don't plan on watching that whole shit. I watched like the first 20 minutes of it, and the first 20 minutes of what I saw was like some of the craziest shit I've ever seen in my life. On this channel, we have talked about before how politics had become pop culture, and I had like a real awakening while I was like watching noted racist Piers Morgan talk to noted Nazi Nick Fuentes debate topics on the small minutia of their racism. I was like, twin, I might be too locked in, too chronically online into political discourse. But I still found some of this shit funny and I want to talk about it. So from what I saw in the beginning, Piers Morgan opened up with a clip from the Free Press. Some guy from the Free Press was like, he did kind of like a takedown video on Nick Fuentes and kind of called out Nick Fuentes' doublespeak thing that he does. If you don't know us who are chronically online and care too much about what political commentators have to say, have noticed that Nick Fuentes does do this doublespeak thing where like when he's on his platform, he's very much like the most Nazi anybody has ever Nazi'd. Other times when he goes on other people's platforms, he's very like button up and kind of like a moderate conservative. Also, when you see like his social clips, you can be tricked easily to thinking he's based or some shit like that, only because like he has very harsh criticism of Israel. And it's our climate right now. Everybody is like, yo, why is a foreign country so involved in our politics? And I think most Americans agree on this sentiment, but people don't realize that Nick Fuentes hates Israel because he hates Jews.
If I were writing a glossary entry on the Streisand effect, I wouldn't put a picture of her next to it. I would put a picture of Nick Fuentes.
I heard that shit and I thought to myself, yo, he's cooking. Post Charlie Kirk killing, when everybody was like searching to find what a gripper was, because we believed the Charlie Kirk killer was a gripper at first. Everybody and anybody has gone out their way to talk to and talk about Nick Fuentes. I think that the more people platform his politics and platform his ideas, we're introducing people to these things that would not have known about it otherwise. Now, somebody say, hey, Dom, you're doing the exact same thing right now, but what I'm doing is simply dunking on a fucking Nazi. And who don't want to dunk on Nazis, gang? When he goes sit next to Piers Morgan or he goes sit next to Dan Crowder or whatever cuz name is, people who have been so pro-Trump and up the ass of Trump get to see a version, a farther right version of the same party they support, but seem more real and honest. A lot of these niggas that just open up the pipeline for their own demise. You don't sound as vicious when I got a real Nazi in front of me, gang. Like a lot of these white little cracker niggas, they feel disenfranchised by the establishment. And who's a better voice than that than the Mexican Nazi himself, Nick Fuentes? By the way, that's how crazy America is. Like, we dead ass got Mexican Nazis, gang. Like, Hitler not looking at him like, oh, salute to you. He like, oh, where's your camp? The best part about him being a Mexican Nazi is that at some point, Piers Morgan asked him about his family background, and he called his mom and dad ethnics, and that shit fried me.
Well, I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago in LaGrange Park, as you say. My parents are ethnics. You know, my father's half Mexican, half Irish. My mother's Italian.
You know how fucking racist you gotta be to look at your parents and call them ethnics? Mind away, with a last name like Fuentes, the most ethnic last name of all time. But in his mind, it's like, oh no, they some of the good ethnics. You know, they share the same background, being Catholic, being European, besides for his grandmother. But besides that, these some of the good ethnics. Grifting to the right is so funny because how do you allow a motherfucker with the last name Fuentes become a real voice, a real leader in your movement? Like, how can you be the Nazi movement with a fucking Mexican leading your movement? It does not make sense, cuz. Nick Fuentes is so fucking racist, though. At some point, Piers Morgan tried to, like, lock in on whether or not his father was racist or some shit. I forgot how the conversation got, but he's trying to lock in on whether or not his father was racist. And Nick Fuentes gave the excuse of, like, oh, no, like, my father wasn't racist, like, you know what I'm saying? My best friend was black in middle school or some shit like that. That shit fried me, gang.
He directly, I think, responded to it, which is whether your father would not take you to certain restaurant chains because he associated them with black Americans. Is that true?
No, well, see here, if you're in America, you would say that Olive Garden is not real Italian food. Applebee's, TGI Fridays, this stuff is a load of crap. My dad was just a food snob, but no, it's got nothing to do with that. My best friend in first grade was a black guy. We're not a racist family, so.
Yo, my best friend in first grade was a black guy. It's the wildest I got a black friend I've ever heard in my life, gang. Twin, I think Nick Fuentes is my age. I think like 28. Going back like 20 years to find a black person is nuts. Like, usually the race would be like, oh no, like I got like one of my best friends right now is black. And usually what that means is I have a black coworker who I joke with sometimes at the office. This nigga said 20 years ago, I knew a black person. The part that fried me the most is that him and Candace Owens been like flirting on the timeline for like 3 weeks now. You currently know a black person, but you had to go back 20 years to find a nigga. For the same studio that bought you 12 years of slaves, I present you 20 years of black friend, my nigga. That's what Nick Fuentes on, guys. Listen, 20-year-old Negro friends is nuts, gang. You gotta here's how little Nick Fuentes sees black people as people. Nick Fuentes was a key component in Kanye becoming a neo-Nazi a couple years ago. When he was running around doing the podcast and all that shit, when Ye thought he was gonna run for president, all that shit, Nick Fuentes was right beside him. Nick Fuentes was in Kanye's cabinet. What you mean you had to go back 20 years to find a nigga? 20 years to find a nigga is nuts, bro. But with all that being said, that's not the clip that's going viral on the timeline. Right now, the clip that's going viral is a clip of Nick Fuentes saying that he was a virgin. And I kind of want to react to it because I feel like a lot of the mainstream media is missing the point of why he said this or how he got to this point. But it's picking up a lot of traction. It's picking up a lot of views. So let's listen to it and let's talk about it.
Just to clear up one of the many theories about you, I've no idea what the answer is and you haven't got to answer. But are you actually attracted to women?
I am attracted to women.
You're not gay.
Are you attracted to women and are you gay? It's the same question. Piers Morgan is like, yo, twin, who be sucking your dick? Who gets your shit hard, my nigga? He doubled down on that.
No. But I will say that women are very difficult to be around.
Okay.
So there's that.
And do you think they should have the right to vote?
I do not. No, absolutely not.
They should stay at home?
Well, yeah, absolutely.
So basically, you're just a misogynist old dinosaur, aren't you? For a young guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I'm the boomer. I know I'm the boomer here, but actually, you're a 27-year-old dinosaur, aren't you? Aren't you, Nick Fuentes? All women.
I am.
All women are annoying. All women grow old. They all get fat. Says the guy. Have you ever had sex?
I'm not gonna lie. Nick Fuentes is an ultimate troll. This is just rage bait, and then Nick Fuentes doubles down on the rage bait.
No, absolutely not.
Wow. Says the guy who's never got laid.
I don't think people realize that was rage bait and all of us are taking a rage bait. Do you actually believe Nick Fuentes is a virgin? No. Here's how I know. Destiny sucked his dick. He obviously be fucking. He just be fucking Destiny, gang. Maybe I'm too chronically online and I remember shit that I shouldn't be remembering, but I remember that being a thing on the timeline, gang. Nick Fuentes got his dick sucked by Destiny. So, but the funny part about this shit is I think that we don't realize that Nick Fuentes is trolling. He's clip farming. He got Piers Morgan so outside of his body. He rage baited him so good that he was like, fuck it, if I got you here, I might as well troll all the way. And I think that's the problem with traditional media understanding why they should stop talking to Nick Fuentes. Is that the nigga is better than y'all at the internet. He's better than y'all. He's better at clip farming. He's better at getting the moments. Twin, the fact that this shit went viral fried me because I knew the context of it without even watching it first. I'm already knowing that wasn't a sincere answer. A lot of people don't realize that Gen Z, as a generation, already does not participate in most things with sincerity. Most things that Gen Z do is tongue-in-cheek, is meant to be ironic, and that's how the whole generation operates. Trust me, as the oldest member of Gen Z, I often participate inside that bullshit. So why do you think the Nazis will be any different? Gen Z is producing a generation of nihilistic zombies where nothing is done in earnest. Everything's ironic, bro. So yeah, you got him to say it, but that don't do nothing to his base. His base not gonna hear that and be like, oh, I can't fuck with him now. That's not what's happening. You gotta realize most of these niggas who are falling down the pipeline of becoming Nazis are already looking up look smacks and shit like that. These niggas are already incels. These niggas already have issues getting bitches. All you did was make Nick Fuentes a sympathetic figure. Niggas say, oh, he just like me. Niggas say he just like me. And you thought that was some kind of own, like you owned him. Listen, I love talking about Nick Fuentes because I think he's hilarious. I think he's fun to dunk on. But I do think traditional media has it all fucked up and they are not doing it correctly.
Potty mouth. Stop playing.
Well, hello, potty mouth.